Welcome. Today, we're going to learn how to decode a language that has no alphabet. A story told not with words, but with stone and metal. We're diving deep into the absolutely fascinating world of Indian iconography. So think about it for a second. When you look at an ancient statue, what do you actually see? Is it just a beautiful piece of art, or is it something more? In this explainer, we're going to treat these figures like texts, like visual stories that are just waiting for us to read them. All right, so to really understand this visual language, we've got to start with the basics. What exactly is an icon in this context? What's so interesting about this definition is how it separates an icon from just any old sculpture. See, the key isn't just the artistry, it's the purpose. It's the deep connection to ritual and worship. This object has a job to do. It's a functional, spiritual tool. And the Indian tradition has this really beautiful word for it. Murti. Think of it this way. It's not just a statue of a god. It's the form the divine takes so it can be accessible to us humans. It's the shape, the vessel, the very place where that deity lives, right here on Earth. And this brings us to this incredible concept called darshana. This is not passive viewing, like looking at a painting in a gallery. No, darshana is a profound two-way street. The devotee sees the deity and, just as importantly, hopes to be seen by the deity, to receive their grace. It's all about that eye contact.
Okay, so we've got our foundation. Now let's get practical. I'm about to give you a toolkit, a 6-step guide you can use to decode pretty much any Indian icon you ever come across.
Here it is, our 6-step guide to reading an icon. We're going to look at posture, then bodily features, the hand gestures, any objects they're holding, their animal mount, and finally, any companions they have with them. It might sound like a lot, but let's break down some of the most important ones right now.
First up, posture. This is your first and most basic clue. You have to ask, is the deity standing, all alert and ready for action? Are they sitting down in deep meditation? Or are they reclining in a state of cosmic rest? Each one of those postures tells a totally different story about their state of mind and their purpose.
Next, you want to look at the hands. Mudras, or hand gestures, are basically a silent language. You know, a hand held up with the palm facing out? That's not just a wave hello. That's the Abhaya mudra, a gesture that says, do not fear. A palm facing down and open? That's the Varada mudra, which offers a blessing or a boon. Now, the objects, or ayudas, held in the hands, these are often the biggest giveaway. They're like the primary ID card for the deity. You see Shiva with his axe, the parashu, and you instantly know it signifies his power to destroy evil. You see Vishnu with his conch and disc. A flower in the hand of a goddess could signify creation and beauty. These objects are a powerful shorthand for their stories and their powers. And you can't forget the vahana, the divine mount. This is a huge clue. The animal a deity rides isn't just random. It's a symbolic extension of who they are. Durga's fierce lion? It represents her own power and courage. Vishnu's incredible eagle, Garuda, represents speed, strength, and his rule over the skies. So now we have this amazing toolkit, right? Well, what's so cool is that it doesn't just work for one tradition. We can use these exact same principles, posture, gestures, symbols, to understand icons all across Hindu, Buddhist, and Jaina art. Take the image of the Buddha, for example. You know, in the earliest Buddhist art, you don't actually see him at all. His presence was just implied through powerful symbols, the stupa, the Bodhi tree where he reached enlightenment, or the wheel representing his teachings. The human form we're so familiar with, that came much, much later. But those original symbols never lost their power. And right here, you can see a really core philosophical difference in action. In Hinduism, an icon is often an active giver of blessings. That's why you see those fear not or boon-giving hand gestures. But in the Jaina tradition, the icon is a role model. It's not there to grant you favors, but to show you the path to enlightenment. That's why they're almost always shown in deep meditation. They're a figure to emulate, not to ask things from. So we've learned how to read these icons for their religious meaning, which is amazing. But this is where it gets really, really cool. These icons are more than just theology. They are time capsules. They're historical and cultural documents just jam-packed with data. This is where you have to put on your detective hat and look at the tiny details. A specific type of wine goblet in a deity's hand? Well, that could tell us about trade routes with ancient Rome. The design of a weapon can tell us about the military technology of the time. The jewelry can hint at how prosperous a kingdom was. Every single detail is a clue. I mean, just look at this list. It's basically a library of an entire civilization's knowledge, frozen in art. We learn about metallurgy from how a statue was cast, warfare from the weapons they're holding, music, dance, even medicine and astronomy. It is all there. It's a complete record of a society's achievements. And that brings us to what might be the single most important idea in this whole explainer. Icons are, quite literally, visible scriptures. They're a library for everyone, whether you could read or not, communicating these complex ideas about philosophy, myth, and history in a universal visual language. So the next time you're in a museum or you see a statue, don't just walk past it. Stop. Look a little closer. Use the toolkit we talked about. Ask yourself, what's its posture? What are its hands saying? What is it holding? You now have the key to unlock a hidden world of stories. The only question left is, what stories will you find?